Our entire viewing area remains under an air quality alert today as lingering smoke from the Canadian wildfires continues to push southward. Officials with Louisville Metro Air Pollution Control put out a warning on Twitter saying the sensitive groups like children, older adults, or those with asthma are encouraged to stay indoors as much as possible. And that thick haze taking over major cities like New York and Washington, D.C. At one point, New York City had the worst air quality in the world. Many flights into LaGuardia Airport put on pause. Here's ABC's Rena Roy.
The iconic New York City skyline going from normal to smoky, then almost apocalyptic looking in just 2 hours Wednesday.
This is what my view of Manhattan looks like from Jersey City on a normal, beautiful, sunny day compared to today.
The time-lapse captured on EarthCam showing skyscrapers and bridges disappearing into the thick orange haze.
It smelled like a tire was like a burning tire.
On the air quality index scaled from 1 to 500, where above 150 is considered unhealthy, the mayor said at one point New York City hit 484 or hazardous. Shanghai, China was around 125.
Very, very scary just walking down the street and feeling like I'm going to have an asthma attack.
And now the FAA issuing a pause in flights from the Northeast, Ohio, and Mid-Atlantic bound for LaGuardia Airport due to low visibility. Dangerous air quality advisories in effect for more than 100 million Americans in at least 20 states from St. Louis to Boston.
I've been coughing a lot.
Washington, D.C. issuing a code purple air quality alert, one level below the most severe air quality warning. The National Zoo shut down. Some outdoor activities for children canceled. Experts urging everyone to stay inside or wear a high-quality mask when going out. All of this from extreme wildfires in Canada, where thousands have been evacuated from their homes.
A box of masks that I had to dig out, and it's these KN95s and N95s that are really helpful, that are going to filter out some of those smoke particles.
If you don't have air conditioning and you're using, isolated fans, put them all on, because just circulating air, when you talk to aerosol scientists, that will help as well.
Experts say breathing in this kind of smoke for a day is like continuously smoking half a pack of cigarettes or more. So again, staying indoors is best. Things are expected to improve by Friday and over the weekend, when the winds will likely switch and blow smoke away from the U.S. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
All right, Sam, so just let's take a quick look at how this is affecting us locally. And they talk about these air particles. It's pollution getting into our system. They're tinier than a fraction of your hair molecules.
They're tiny.
And they get in and they aggravate your lungs and any other breathing problems you might already have, making it worse.
And that's why it might be wise to wear the masks again, too, if you are going to be outside for a long time, because it does take into account all those little fine particulates from the smoke, and it kind of refines it so you're not breathing in that pure smoke that we're dealing with those fires from Canada. So we are still seeing that in our atmosphere and here in Kentucky and Brooke, but obviously a lot worse conditions the farther east one travels. So if you have family or friends off towards Washington, D.C., New York City, that's where staying at its worst. Now, Brooke, here's actually a live camera from Albany, New York. You can't even see the skyline in the distance. That's actually from a city just to the south of Albany, New York. So that just kind of puts in perspective how bad the pollution is for our friends in the northeastern United States. We are in an air quality alert here, but it isn't for everybody, or it is for everybody, but those of you that are a part of the sensitive groups, that means you have asthma, maybe your children or elderly, make sure you stay inside. Don't even risk being outside too long in this kind of condition when it comes to the air quality, as wildfire smoke obviously still to blame for that. But again, Brooke, we are going to be getting a potential, looks like thicker amounts of wildfire smoke making its way into Kentucky beginning tomorrow. I'll talk much more in detail about our FutureCast smoke forecast a little bit closer coming up here in a few minutes.
Okay, thanks so much. And the rain, that'll hopefully suppress some of that later on. Coming up in the next 15 minutes, we'll be digging deeper into the impacts seen here in the metro and on the East Coast. If you want more updates, you can get those text alerts straight to your phone by downloading our free WHAS11 app. The air quality could have a massive impact on the Triple Crown finale. Live horse racing at New York's Belmont Park just canceled for the second day in a row now. The question is, will the Belmont Stakes happen this weekend? And a quote from the New York Racing Association president there said it will actively monitor all available data and weather information as they work toward the resumption of training and practices for races. It is expecting live racing to resume on Friday. A Shively police officer faces 20 counts of speeding over 100 miles an hour. Back in May, a citizen called out William Bors for his speeding in his police cruiser. As a result of that complaint, Shively police said there is now a criminal and internal investigation. Police said Bors had his 3-year-old child in the car with him in almost half of those cases. The officer was issued a criminal summons and will be required to appear in court charged with speeding, wanton endangerment, and official misconduct. In the meantime, he's been placed on paid administrative leave. One of Louisville's most influential voices joining the fight to curb gun violence. We haven't heard a lot from Greater Louisville Inc. until now on this issue. This week, it discussed how downtown and other businesses are suffering due to the violence and the lack of gun reform. The organization sent out a gun violence reduction survey to 1,800 of its members. Of those who responded, 82% of them supported GLI advocating for police policies related to gun violence. That means it'll now begin lobbying for gun reform in Frankfort.
I think what that survey shows, people are focused on what they can do. This is not a partisan issue.
Mayor Craig Greenberg has already asked state lawmakers to give Louisville the autonomy to create its own gun laws. He also wants to prevent firearms used in crimes from being auctioned off to retailers. Well, the latest data from LMPD shows gun violence is on the rise. Detectives are investigating 189 non-fatal shootings this year, a more than 7% increase from this time last year. And homicides are up more than 10%, with 75 reported this year. Police continue looking for the person who shot 21-year-old William Hines while he was driving close to home Tuesday. The injury caused him to crash his car into the pool of a Crossings apartment complex. According to police, Hines, who lived just around the corner from that apartment, was driving on Cooper Chapel Road when someone shot him, and that's when his car veered off the road and into a pool there on Brookbend Way. He later died at the hospital. Fortunately, no one else was injured. No one was in that pool at the time. Police have not identified a suspect. A family forced from their home after a fire in the Parkland neighborhood that had spread to neighboring houses yesterday. The Louisville Fire Department says crews responded to the fire on Virginia Avenue just before 5:30 last night. A 2-story vacant home caught fire, then spread to the neighboring houses, only one of which was occupied. The family was able to get out safely, but their house severely damaged. They are now receiving help from the Red Cross. And happening this evening, the Fairness Campaign's Executive Director Chris Hartman and Kentucky State Senator Karen Berg will join President Joe Biden and the First Lady for their Pride celebration at the White House. It all kicks off at 7 o'clock this evening on the South Lawn and is the first time the Fairness Campaign has received an invite to the annual White House Pride event. Well, for the first time ever as well, the Human Rights Campaign has declared a nationwide state of emergency for the LGBTQ+ community. The organization said a wave of threats and anti-LGBTQ legislation has put lives in danger here in America. Chris Hartman with the Louisville Fairness Campaign says the warning will push more people to celebrate and protect each other.
Nothing is going to stop the joy of our community coming together to support and love one another and to fight back against these unjust laws that are disproportionately impacting our trans community all across the country.
The Human Rights Campaign is taking action against the slew of discriminatory legislation. It's released a guidebook titled LGBTQ+ Americans Fight Back. It includes Know Your Rights information along with health and safety resources. TARC has just approved some route changes it believes will improve the efficiency of buses around Louisville. Some routes with extremely low ridership will be eliminated and more buses will be added to those places that need them. The changes start August 6th. For a list of discontinued routes, you can go to this story on WHAS11.com. Metro Police released numbers from the amnesty period at the Louisville Metro impound lot in Butchertown. 82 cars were picked up from that lot off Frankfort Avenue near River Road. That totals more than $19,000 in waived fees, breaking down to just over $236 a car. This was LMPD's third in a series of amnesty periods. Louisville City FC making a historic transfer with Portugal club Benfica for its star defender. Josh Winder is joining the Portugal club for the summer. Benfica paid 7 figures, which is the highest transfer fee for a USL Championship player ever, for the right to transfer Winder. That move follows a breakout few months for the 18-year-old Louisville native. In addition to playing with Lou City, he was a finalist for U.S. Soccer's 2022 Young Male Player of the Year and was then called up to the U.S. men's national team this spring. Benfica is set to play in the highest league in professional soccer after it secured a spot in Champions League. Churchill Downs, known to host so many events like weddings, parties, corporate events, and of course horse racing. But after canceling its spring meet, visitors are shuffling to make alternative plans. Our Taylor Woods and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie spoke to one Louisville native who had big plans for this weekend's at the Downs.
Churchill Downs is quieter than usual. Right now it should look like this until July 3rd. Instead, the crowds that will be watching racing, wedding parties to even class reunions are scrambling to find something else to do in Louisville.
We were supposed to have the ability to go down to the winner's circle for one of the races. You really can't recreate that.
Milton Tahoney Jr., a Louisville native and former Louisville City official, has been looking forward to returning home. It's the 50th annual reunion of his class at Flagey High School.
The fact that it's our 50th reunion, we were going to also recognize 13 of our classmates who have passed away.
But they were planning to meet Saturday on the 4th floor of Churchill with food and prizes, and now
disappointment all around.
Inside the Kentucky Derby Museum, tourists are still stopping by just in time for the new banner honoring Kentucky Derby winner Mage.
While racing has been moved to Ellis Park, and we have lots of tourists that are planning their summer trips and coming through.
Although disappointed about Churchill plans now canceled, Tahoney says he understands the track's decision to temporarily suspend racing. So where to go for the class of 1973? In Louisville, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 on your side.